morning, my friends. Welcome back to my Practically Imperfect life. This is going to be a little bit of a day in the life vlog. Should be fairly interesting because we have just quite a bit to do today. Lots of things to try to tackle. We're supposed to have some nice weather. I am trying to be as quiet as possible. It's about 4:30 in the morning. And you might wonder why on earth I'm awake at 4:30 in the morning. And you might also wonder why I'm wearing a giant unicorn sticker on my sweater. I am finishing up the last of my on-call shifts for this week. It's day 7. I have a few more hours till I'm officially off call. The first couple of hours, or probably the first 6 or 7 hours of each of my on-call shifts this week, so from about 5 p.m. till midnight, have been super busy. Just way busier than usual, and I'm not sure why. And then I'll usually have like a chunk of time where no calls are coming in. It's a little bit slower, and I get a little bit of a cat nap in, which that's just kind of the way on-call works, is you try to cat nap through the night as you can. And then I've been waking up naturally really early in the morning, but feeling really refreshed at the end of that. And I think it's just because I am actually getting that chunk that I need. So I'm up early. I'm still in my work uniform because I don't know if I'm going to have to run out, and I'm just covering up the logo. Hence, I had to find something I could cover it with, and I had a random giant unicorn sticker. So that works. I'm also trying to be kind of quiet because everyone else is obviously still asleep. And I have a feeling that both of the kids will sleep in a little bit this morning, and I'm going to let them. Emma had her first big 2-day golf tournament this weekend. She was actually gone for all day Friday and then all day Saturday and Sunday. So Friday, her coach took her and a couple other players down to the course. They did a practice round and got a chance to see the layout of the course. He had the girls this year get, I think they're called Straka books, I think was the name. But they're a book designed for a specific golf course. It has all of these details about the different holes on the course, and they can take notes on things as they're playing. So what type of club they use, angles, the way that the green is laid out, stuff like that. She's telling me all of this stuff and what she's marking down, and I did not have the heart to tell her that you do know you're using things like geometry and physics when you're doing this. But she wouldn't want to hear that. But in my mind, I'm going, oh, practical use of things we learn in school. But she had a really good weekend. She was really pleased with how she played. Her coach was pleased with how she played. All in all, it was good for her. But she's tired because 3 long days of that, plus it was 2.5 hours away where she was playing. Then my son, he was at camp all this weekend. He is going to be what's called a junior servant at camp. It's kind of like a junior camp counselor. It's what they allow high school students to do before they're full-on counselors when they're in college. Training weekend was this weekend. It just wore him out. And then he has to work a couple of days this week because he missed his normal weekend shifts at work to go to that training. He's just going to be a tired kiddo. We're going to let him catch up on his sleep. I had an all-day event yesterday. I got off call, had about an hour break, had an all-day event I was at for about, 7 hours or so, and then I went right back on call again. And that kind of killed my normal Sunday activities. Normally Sunday is when I do all my lesson planning for a homeschool. I get things ready to go. And it's also when I do a lot of the house cleaning. So the house cleaning didn't get done, the lesson planning didn't get done, and I want to have that ready to rock and roll. So no matter what time the kids are up, it's there and waiting for them, and they can jump on board with that. Plus I have a hair appointment today and just all of the things. The weather's also supposed to be rather nice, so I'm hoping we can get some stuff done outside as well. Anyways, I thought I would take you along for today's day in life. I have had some people request for a closer look at some of the individual lessons for a few of the curriculum programs that I've talked about in recent review videos. I believe so far we've covered, at the time this will go up, you guys will have seen history, you will have seen science and English. And then we've got math and we've got electives still coming out here soon for you guys to check out. But I thought I would show you a little bit closer look at that. Anyways, I'm going to finish my cup of coffee, I'm going to write out my to-do list for today, and then we will head downstairs to the homeschool room and we'll work on some lesson planning. I have my fingers crossed that maybe the rest of this morning is a slow one as far as things go with on-call. We'll see. You never know. Anyways, let's get this day started and we'll take you along for the ride. All right, so here's really what getting lesson planning done looks like for me. So this document here, this Excel document, this is my lesson planner. And let me just scroll up to the top here to kind of show you. So I have a tab for each of the kids, and then I have one for our group subjects. During the summer, I go in and I put in all of what I think are going to be our lesson plans on there. So all of our math lessons, physics, English, etc. You can see for courses like her English literature course, it's a weekly assignment, and then she's works on that all through the week. Things like philosophy only have an assignment typically on Monday and maybe one extra day during the week. And then she has the whole week to get them done. But then I have our lesson plan books as well. What I do is I look at what we did that week and I will highlight it in yellow on here. So I'll scroll back down to where we are at, and we're kind of at different points on different things. So we are all done with her pre-calculus. She has just been using that extra time to get some more SAT practice in. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark off what we did for philosophy this week and what she did for physics. Just highlight those off. And then what she did for her vocab. And then I will copy and paste things over into here. And so that makes it nice and quick because I've done all of this prep work on, typing in these beforehand. Now let's go ahead and just kind of show you how quick this goes for me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy her physics assignments over. She's going to be studying for a test, working on her practice questions for this. This particular chapter was a pretty quick one. It only had one lab in it. And usually I have it broken down to where she can work on these review questions over 2 days and have time to study for her test. And I'll make a note here because I need to make sure that I grade that test and enter that into the book. And then she'll jump right into chapter 15 after that. We are getting near the end of physics. And then that will be another big course done for her. So you can see it's really quite quick for me to be able to get this stuff into her lesson planner. And that's because I spent that extra time in the summer getting those things prepared and typed in. That's one of the reasons why I like to have my curriculum early, so I have a chance to do this. For philosophy, she is on the last chapter. It only has 30 lessons. Chapter 29, there was a multi-week enrichment assignment that she worked on. Chapter 30 actually has her write a big final paper, really. So she'll read the chapter and what the assignment details are, and then she'll have the next couple of weeks to work on that. Let's see, we will be doing 20. So we'll just change that into those lessons there. She's also, this is the last lesson for her Worldly Wise as well. Let me make sure I have that correct. Yeah, so she'll finish up these ones here, take a test on lesson 20, and then she'll have some review pages, and then she's all done with vocab as well for this year. Now, for her literature, this was one of those units where we extended it out another week. She had 2 weeks we had to have a day short in a row, so she asked for an extra week to be able to finish her main paper and her honors paper. So she wrote a main paper and on Great Expectations, and then she read Oliver Twist and did a honors paper on that. So now here's her assignments for this week for literature. And this is the course that somebody had asked if I could give a closer look at. And I will. I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys a little more what that looks like. Oops, I don't want that all in bold. Let's maybe take that off bold there. Okay. So what I like to do is when she starts a new module, let her know like the main pages and if we're going to have an honors book so she can plan for reading. Now last week she had already finished the other 2 books. She was just finishing the paper. So I told her to go ahead and get started on reading the next book, which is Wuthering Heights. And then this week she's going to write an author profile on that author. Those author profiles are actually fairly quick for her to put together, but a lot of her time this week will be spent reading the book and then checking out some of the context resources as well as reading the module. And then I've got to type in what we're going to do for government and personal finance. So she's getting ready to start week 31 of that one. And then the kids are on week 25 of food science. So obviously we've gotten off schedule especially with food science, but it's all good. We don't mind. We're just enjoying going through the process. I will go pull out my binders that I have my copies of the schedule for these 2 courses that I have been making my notes in, and I'm just going to get those typed into there, and then we'll print this off for her. And then we do the same process for my son before I will go down and start pulling out books and materials that they need for today. All right, apologies, the shadows are going to be atrocious, but somebody wanted a closer look at what the actual lessons look like in the Excellence in Literature. So this is the British Literature year from Excellence in Literature by Janice Campbell. This is what my 11th grader is doing. She's getting ready to start Module 8. So she's going to be reading for her main book, Wuthering Heights. Now there is an honors book that we've already purchased. That's the Tenant of Windfill Hall. I don't know if we're going to do the honors book or not, but this is just a quick look at what a lesson looks like. So on week 1 of the 4-week module, she is supposed to read the pages in this book and start reading the novel, and then she'll have a writing assignment. Typically it's an author profile about the main book author. She sometimes can finish the main book if it's shorter, but typically it does take her 2 weeks to finish. There'll be some background information, what the literary period is, what the module focus is, so you can see we're looking at Gothic literature, an introduction to the book, some things to think about while she's reading and to notice while she's reading, and then there's a ton of context resources. So websites she can go to about the book and the themes of the book, information on the author's life, which is helpful for the author profile. She can look at, oh, that's a little bit better with the shadows, poetry, music, audio, video, and I just let her pick and choose which of the context resources she feels would be important for her. And then there is historical context information to get a better understanding of what's going on in the book. Then the assignments are listed on here. So week 1, almost always week 1 of a module, she is writing an author profile. It's fairly short, but it is giving background information about the author itself. Week 2, there is some sort of a writing assignment, not a super long one, but there's something. So for week 2 of this, she's supposed to write a feature story, assuming she's a modern journalist writing a story set in present time about the engagement of our main characters with a summary of their troubled family history. So she's writing an article. And then week 3, she always starts her main essay. So this is the essay for the main book. It's almost always 750 words. Sometimes they give her 1 prompt. Sometimes they give her an option between 2. So she has the option of 2 different prompts this module. She can write a literary analysis essay or a compare and contrast essay, and then it'll give the details of that. And then there's the week for information. Now, you might notice that there's not any information about what she's supposed to do for the honors book, so let me show you where that is at. For the honors book, there is information in the back. There's a whole chapter called Honors, and it explains a bit about adjusting your schedule for including those honors books. Now, with each honors book, they recommend she either does a summary titles assignment or an approach paper, and those assignments are described in here. There's also information about the big research project that is assigned for the whole semester, what to do for that, other tips for writing, just things to keep in mind. Then there's also a chapter on formats. I think this is really great because she is writing a bunch of different types of papers, and it explains what she's supposed to be including in those. Approach papers especially, because they aren't a typical
typical like 5-paragraph essay paper. They've got a specific setup that she's supposed to have. And then there are examples in here of the different types of writing assignments. Sorry, I'm trying to hold this up so you guys don't see a bunch of shadows here, and it's not going well. But it will give examples of what the different types of papers are supposed to look like. So that is really helpful if your student's just getting started with this. The other thing that's really helpful is we do have the handbook for writers, and that gives further information on writing your different types of papers. But this is, oh, here we go, author profile. So the format of an author profile and what it should look like. So you can see it's actually a fairly short assignment to do, but it does require her to look up some information about the author and complete that. What's a lit summary? How should that look? What's a literary analysis paper? An example of that. I really like that there's actual examples in here and not just, hey, here's an outline, so she can really see what she's supposed to be doing and writing. So, and then there's information in here for me on how to evaluate her writing. All in all, it's a good program. It's a hefty reading program though. Hefty, hefty, hefty. But, oh good. And Wuthering Heights, I can't even remember how old I was last time I read this. Probably high school. I should probably reread it because I don't remember anything about this book. Probably add that to my TBR. Okay, let's see. They're going to be starting taste this week in food science. Bit of a wordy book, but I think the concept will be pretty interesting. And all of my books have gotten out of order. Let's see. I think this is the new resource book we're doing. Yeah. So we're going to be looking at this one, and this is kind of, probably should just set it down, similar to the Elements book that they did, where there's not a whole lot of heavy reading, but lots of great images and little bits of information. So I love these books to have them do. And I need to find the disappearing spoon. This is Other True Tales of Madness, Love, and the History of the World from the Periodic Table of Elements. So another wordier book. However, hopefully the stories are pretty interesting. So I've been a little bit behind on my pre-reading. Y'all know I like to try to read when I'm going to assign the kids. So I'm going to have to swipe these this week, like in the evenings, and just try to do a little catch-up reading so I can basically make sure I'm staying on top of what I'm having them do. And then the history stuff has just gotten crazy. I don't know. I think it's probably my fault because I keep pulling books off to show you guys, but I gotta try to get them in some better sense of order and find the books that Ethan needs for today. Good morning, my little plant babies. I'm gonna get these guys watered this morning. What I have been doing for the ones that are still in a tray is I actually will fill the tray up about a quarter of a way with water, and I will let it sit and soak that up for about an hour, and then I will dump out the excess. That allows the soil to get really fully saturated. Make sure that the plants have what they need, because it'll only pull up what it needs and it'll leave the rest in the tray. Twice a week, I fertilize these. So I do have a fertilizer. It's the Espoma Grow. I'll put a picture up here and I'll link it down below. But it's an organic fertilizer, so I give that to them, or a plant food. I give it to them twice a week, so on Mondays and then usually on Thursdays. And then I will, for these guys that are already potted up, we'll just pour it in. Ooh, look, we've got pumpkins coming up. Yeah, that's awesome. There are a lot of things that need to be potted up really badly. I desperately want to get the onions out today or tomorrow. I think we have a freeze warning though, so I might have to swing by Lowe's or Home Depot and buy some frost cloth because I don't have any more. If I put these out, I want to make sure I cover them on those really cold nights. I mean, they're a cold season plant, so they'd probably be okay, but not if I'm just putting them in the ground. They're going to need to be protected. I just really need the space so I can pot up some more plants. These gosmos desperately want to be in bigger pots. They will be so much happier if they can be, and I'm pretty sure that the status are about ready to get moved up too. I mean, things are doing great, but geez, oh my gosh, look at the hollyhocks. Yeah, they need bigger containers. So we got some work to do, but I'm gonna go ahead first and get these guys watered and happy, and then move on from there.
Kept breakfast simple with some scrambled eggs with added egg whites, and I seasoned it today with my guaca salsa mix from Rosebuds. I really love the Rosebud seasonings. I've been using them for years. They are all natural seasonings. Everything is certified organic, and it's just no added ingredients that you don't have to have, just good, clean ingredients. You know, I love to know what's in my food. The fruit butters are amazing. This is the mulled apple cider fruit butter. They season it with honey or maple syrup on all their fruit butter, so no excess sugar. I do have a code, Abby10, if you guys would like to save 10% on your purchase, and I'll link it down below. Well, our wander now. I like it. Getting ready for summer. Well, it's 63 degrees outside and super sunny and beautiful. Kids are done with school. So Emma's baking banana bread, and I am going to go outside and do some weeding. It's a little bit breezy, so I don't know if I can really record as I'm working, but I will show you it is hopefully some satisfying before and after shots of places I need to work. But look at these. The blushing ladies have finally bloomed up front, and they are absolutely gorgeous. So we're just gonna go out by the beds on the far side of the barn, that area that in my spring garden update I showed you guys. It's pretty weed heavy. Definitely needs some attention, so we're gonna see what we can get knocked out today. And the dog, of course, is going to come along and provide moral support. Ooh, so pretty. All right, here's the before. Let's get to work and see if we can get this ready for planting. Okay, I have been weeding for about an hour, and I've gotten all the way up to here, threw away the weeds that were piled, raked it and leveled it out. It's pretty much ready for some land and seed compost and the seedlings when they come out. So I'm gonna again do a row of hollyhocks in the back because they get quite tall, and then I have delphinium and foxglove and some perennial echinacea, and I think it will fill this area in quite nicely. There's still all this to weed, but I have some other things I need to do, and an hour was all I could spare today. So hopefully tomorrow I can finish this part, and at least one of the garden projects will be done. But I'm pretty content with what I got done this afternoon. All right, homeschool moms, encourage your kids to have a love of baking and cooking, because sometimes when your kids are all done with school and they're looking for something to do, they'll say things like, maybe I'll make a loaf of banana bread, and it will be absolutely delicious for an afternoon snack. Now, while it had already been a long day, I knew I would sleep much better that night if I at least had the kitchen cleaned up. Looking at the list of things to clean can be overwhelming, but instead of thinking about that, I instead said, okay, 30 minutes on the clock, that's how long we're gonna spend, and we're gonna clean what we can clean. I was able to get dishes done, I got counters wiped down, the kitchen vacuumed, the kitchen mopped. I was able to even go through and wipe down my cabinets, because if you have white cabinets, you know stuff is constantly getting on them, and it felt so good to just get that stuff done. And I think that's just something to remember, is that on a day like today, I didn't get any crazy massive projects done. I got a little bit of weeding done, I got a little bit of cleanup done, I got our lesson planning done, and you know what? I'm content with that. I was able to get some things accomplished, and I was able to enjoy the day, enjoy the beautiful weather, work with the kids on their schoolwork, and end the day just sitting down with a cup of tea, reading my Bible, and just relaxing after what had been a long day. Well, really a long week with all of my on-call nights. So thank you guys for joining me for today's little vlog. Be sure to check out Rosebuds if you want to find some great natural seasonings. I will have them linked down below along with my discount code. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video, and happy homeschooling.